If you have a good sex life, everything changes. Your mindset changes, your values change. You and your expression of what it means to be who you are in the moment that you're in changes. And see, there's a difference. When you listen to the story of men who are good with women, men who have cultivated a good sex life, who, in whatever way, it doesn't need to be a singular form of monogamy, relationships, polyamory, porn, yada, yada, yada. But men who learn to use their bodies, minds, and their expressions to connect with other people, build rapport, build seduction, and know that life. You hear a very different story than the people that buy into the pickup industry. Now look, pickup is great. It's an awesome idea. It's amazing, man. I've taught in it for 10 years. I love the idea of men learning a skill to get better with women, but for some reason it fucks up. And in these past 10 years, there's a constant, a very consistent result that happens when guys buy into the pickup industry. And what I want to look at are the values of men that get heavily involved in the seduction industry. Doesn't matter where they learn from, doesn't matter if they get into the natural game, the canned game, the direct game, the whatever. We see a man, and great instructors actually teaching, but I think in the wrong process, we see this process of men getting caught up in a suppression of their masculinity, not growing, in a stagnancy in who they are. And it's fucked up. So first off, what I wanted to cover is how men value themselves. When guys who are good with women, who connect with women, what do they value? They value connection, they value sex, they value femininity, they value themselves, they value masculinity, and they know who they are, and that is an innate confidence, confidence and a result that comes from that sort of interaction. And yet, where do we see that? And I know that you guys, I'm the host of the 21 Convention. I have a pretty amazing podcast. I do their podcast. I know everybody in the industry, and I know their real lives. You guys may not know that, but I don't see men in this industry who are teaching who've gotten to that area where they truly love women, where they truly love themselves. But guys that buy into the seduction industry, what is it that they value? They value what benefits them. They value what benefits, how it's going to make them look good, how it's going to get them more pussy. In fact, there's an old joke that I have of when I would speak at conventions way back when. It's a little bit better now, but I would always talk to the attendees. And why would I talk to the attendees? Because if I talked to any of the different instructors there, all I would talk about with them, or all they would talk about with me, they didn't even fucking let me talk. They'd be, man, Steve, how are you? Man, you do all this, you talk about sex. Man, Steve, I have this sexual dysfunction. That's another thing that would always happen. Because I was always talking about sex. They'd tell me about their sex problems. And I'm like, man, you're teaching this? You haven't figured this out? But they'd talk about how many chicks they got, how many bitches they fucked, how much money they make, and how much status they have. And as I got to know them all through the years, all those were lies. And see, when we get involved in pickup, the values of self all have to do with this extraneous outside idea of how I'm going to look better, how I'm going to get more, how I can be dominant, how I can be alpha, what an alpha guy does, and not what I do, not even what I want. Okay? Now, what I want to talk about next is what men value in terms of women. And think about this. Guys that are good with women, guys that have sexual interactions, guys that have good relationships. What do they value with women? Man, they value femininity. They value choice. Women might piss them off. Man, they piss me off all the time. Man, I fucking hate feminism. I hate the men's rights extremists. Why? Because it's so built on segregation and separation. But I love women. I love the beauty of women. I love their breasts. I love their femininity. I love their ability to love. I love their ability to connect. I cannot live without women. I cannot live without connecting with women. And this is the same thing we hear, over and over again from guys like Zan. Guys like Hypnotica in very different ways. A very alpha, American dude. And then Zan, who's much more romantic, and poetic with it. But what do we hear from guys in pickup? What do we hear with men in pickup who have their views and values on femininity? Man, women are objects. Women are a source of a scorecard. Women are 10s or 9s. Women are a set. Women are a representation of ourself in an interaction, or a tool of validation for how we see what femininity is, what sex with women is, what grace, beauty, and love is this thing that gets in the way of our alphaness and our pursuit of our masculine dominance. And see, this is the fucked upness about the values of pickup and what it teaches you. But over and over again, a guy buys into it for 6 months. He gets really involved in pickup. He starts approaching. He starts getting active. He starts connecting with people. That's what happens. And it always happens. Unless the guy can, break away from pickup and find his own life, which that does happen. It's kind of cool when it does happen. But man, for that person who buys into that way of life, man, that's the shit that happens. What does social become? Social becomes approaching. What do we value with being social? How much people can give us, how much we can dominate, how much people paid attention to us. Not what we feel, not what we care about, not our viewpoints, not our ideals, not our passions, not our pursuit of life, but what looks good. Man, I'm not training jujitsu because I fucking love it and I can't get off the mat and I love the brotherhood and bonding with different dudes and learning this fucking martial art that is like chess and using the human body, but because Joe Rogan fucking talks about it and UFC's cool. I'm not involved in art or passion or lifting weights because it's an expression of my body and how I live my life. But it's something that everybody thinks is hip now. And see, that's a fucking problem. When you live that way and when you buy into an idea that's built on such false bullshit, on holding the frame and being alpha, man, guys who really get involved in pickup, that's what happens. What does sex become? Sex becomes an act, and you talk to anybody. And see, this is one of the fucked up things. This is what happened to me. This is what's happened to many different pickup artists. And man, I'm not saying this is, I always think it's interesting when people say, man, it was so cool to get that off your chest, Steve. Here's a pat on the back. No, motherfucker, look, I'm speaking the truth. This is what happens. Any fucking guru or instructor who is not real with you and doesn't share with you the reality of what, man, staying in this industry and only doing what people do, which sadly is most of the advice in this industry, of being an object, of being an expression of value, of being whatever the fuck it is, man, anybody who tells you that's what it is lying. That is not the truth. The height of seduction is not living with 2 chicks or banging a bunch of chicks. Man, I did that I did that in the first year, 6 months of actually getting some skills, and soon realized that the way of life couldn't be confined to just what was cool. Man, if I liked that, if I did that, and that was an expression of mine, that's cool. That's what I like to do, but it doesn't make me cool. But man, what happens to guys who actually get to a level of sex, who get to a level of being able to get laid a lot, and they stay in the pickup industry, what does it become to them? Man, it becomes jerking off with an empty body. It becomes a lay report. It becomes a bragging act to your friends. It becomes something that isn't an expression of your body, your mind, your emotion. And the consistent result of what happens with men and different instructors, man, and that's really it, is what happens to instructors who don't rinse their mind of this, and sadly there's not enough of them. Bad relationships, chasing love, not being able to fucking make a relationship work, thinking that sex is your answer. Man, let me tell you, it's so obvious. When your life falls apart and you have a skill set of being able to bang whoever the fuck you want, fuck them, please them, own their pussies, have them worship you, even have them fall in love with you. When you have that skill set, guess what you do? You don't work on yourself. You don't work on your relationships. You don't work on your emotion. You work on finding more women to fuck, to validate your fucked up mindset and your inability to look at yourself. And it's sad that the men's industry has produced that. You talk to a man who's good with women. You talk to a man who loves women. When his life falls apart, when his girl leaves him, when he has that non-alpha state of, shit, man, it just doesn't work out, because that happens in life. What does he do? Yeah, maybe he wants to go get laid a little bit. Maybe he wants to go play the field, but he hurts. He processes through that. And actually, I was telling this to somebody the other day. Man, and I was giving him some advice, and he asked for it, and it's a touchy subject. But he said, man, this girl and I are in love, but it's not working out. And should I work on these issues that I have with myself and her and whatever, or should I leave, should I stay, should I go? Man, blah, 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 and the chatter begins. Because men don't have a fucking outlet for this, and he's talking to me about it. And he's not a member of TSL, and he should be. Because, man, this is what we talk about, TSL Online. And I said, dude, look, with this girl or without this girl, you're going to have to fix whatever's inside of you, because you're going to keep doing it. And if you believe in love, and if you're chasing love, and if you're honoring love, and you're honoring women like you're telling me, you know what happens when I'm in love, and when I'm having sex, and when I'm honoring women, and when I'm honoring myself? I relax. I stop wondering. I stop panicking. I stop reacting to the different things of what it might be and trying to interpret things, and I start knowing. And so right now, you're not speaking the language of love. You're speaking the language of your dysfunction, looking through the filter of love. You're speaking the language of that insecure part of you that you haven't looked at, that we all have, that I have, that could stand up. It's lying down like a reed right now, but could stand up if the right situations come on, and I'm going to need to work on it and talk with somebody. Man, there's never a quick fix. There's never an easy result. And especially when it comes to being social, being sexual, being a man, being an expression of yourself, you have to work on it. You have to build a community. You have to connect. And you have to be a part of something. If you buy into the values of a system that doesn't work, that is incomplete, that is built on validation, that is built on shit that's supposed to be cool, guess what happens, man? As soon as that tide turns, you're left alone in where you were at when you were signing up for that first email list, thinking about however bad it was. Pickup is not going to make you not want to kill yourself. It's not going to make you, or being a man or being sexually healthy is not going to make you fucking have confidence. It's not going to change your life. But pickup, seduction, being a man, gaining a skill set with women, gaining a skill set to be social is going to happen and can happen to a limitless degree of whatever the fuck you want it to be if you can live a life. Get your shit together. Join a community. Know the value of being a man. Know the value of your expression. Know the value of who you are. Stop buying into this shit that's a quick fix that doesn't even honor or respect your thoughts, your ideas, your emotions, your sex, and the world around you. Live your life. Own it. You're born to be social, born to be sexual. You're born to live life.